Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy Poha. Poha is a podcast which is sort of dedicated to women in the F&B industry. I'm your host, Kalyan Parmakar, and I'm very excited to bring to you my guest today, Saloni Kukreja. And hi, Saloni.
Hi,
So,
Kalyan.
so yeah, and that's a very characteristic Saloni smile. I've known her from maybe 2013, 14, when she had a blog called Food of Mumbai, and uh, and that was a website blog, right? Not
We have,
like today, not like
yeah.
today where Instagram is the blog.
Great.
So that's how far she goes. And at that time, it was more like restaurant content and stuff. We used to meet sometimes, and then you were doing more of recipe content, right, Saloni?
So eventually, I mean, I started off with like doing more restaurant content. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I mean, I always loved being in the kitchen, but
Mm.
yeah, I wasn't that confident to kind of put out recipes. So, just experimenting in the kitchen myself. And then eventually, after the 4 years, I kind of decided that, let's try out a different format as well. Yeah.
And back then, what it was YouTube, uh,
Was
or you
primarily
didn't?
Yeah, we
Sorry.
had a press blog.
Uh,
So we used to do that written bit and then also put the recipes over there. But it was primarily Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I think
yeah,
eventually Snapchat at some point was a
yeah,
thing.
with the filters and
Yeah.
the
Oh,
rabbit
gosh.
ears. I remember Puja used to be a big this Puja thing. You worked with her for a short while, right, in the studio? Yeah,
Yes, I did in the R&D
yeah,
department.
yeah. Then you went to Canada, to Vancouver, to study food chemistry. Yeah,
Yes.
and,
I didn't do food chemistry per se, so I did like my course in cuisine and pastry.
hmm,
But I was actually looking at pursuing food science, but yeah, didn't really work out. But I did, started doing a little bit of R&D for actually work with a farm over there. So
yeah,
pretty much, I think 6 months into me being there, I got a job first at the farmers market, and then I met these people from a farm
yeah.
and they essentially had about I would say 40 acres of just berries.
Ah,
So it was like 25 acres. Yeah, it was pretty
yeah.
insane. Like farming is something that I was, really inclined to learn more about, and that's why I primarily picked Vancouver as my location. So yeah, when I worked with them, we kind of developed a few products, using the fruit, and then the limited vegetable that they grew. So that was yeah,
And,
pretty
and, and
fun.
you're an out and out Bombay girl, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Born
a car girl.
and
Bandra girl, yes. In fact, she now is in the same lane as,
yeah.
where Kanas and I, when we got married, our first rented apartment. What got you interested in food?
What got me interested in food? Oh, I mean, I think I've been pretty much obsessed with it for as long as I can remember. And like cooking per se, I would say like it started when I was in school. So we had a very, short sort of project when we did like home science. So we
Yeah.
had to come up with dishes and menus, and we just had a little bit of cooking sessions in school. And yeah, I think that's just the first time when we made stuff. The first thing I actually made was like caramel custard. So
Oh.
yeah, like I honestly like loved eating it, but I'd
Yeah.
never made things, before. So it was just the whole process of it was, just almost felt like magical to me that time. And yeah, I just loved it.
Yeah. How old were you then? Were you in senior
I
school or middle?
Yeah, I was about 13. Yeah, I was
Uh,
about.
yeah. And caramel custard is probably one of the most popular desserts in Mumbai and across India and across the world. The reason why I brought up the fact of you being a city girl is that what attracted you about farms then? Like when you went to Canada, what was exciting about working in a farm or with a
Yeah,
farm?
yeah, I think like, especially like living there and eating the kind of produce that, are sold at the markets, and just, the whole, the quality is
Yeah.
poles apart. Um, like as a chef, and when you are in the kitchen and you can evidently see the difference in quality of produce, like it makes, because you always know that there's a better option out there, and it can make such a drastic difference to what you sort of put on the table, and yeah, just the whole experience of it. And honestly, like personally, I just love more nature, more calm. Like that's my vibe. I don't love living in Bombay, for work, obviously.
Hmm.
But yeah, than that, I'm more of a nature person, I would say. Yeah.
So would you ever consider doing that in India, or is at some point like working with farms, or going out of Bombay and doing some sort of work, or is that something which you have in mind right
For
now,
sure.
or
I mean, don't live at a farm.
like farm being maybe a slightly distant vision at this point, like in India?
It would, yeah, but I think definitely what I want to do is work with farmers in India, at least with produce wise.
Hmm.
So whether it comes to like chocolate, coffee, and even different kinds of fruits that we can sort of incorporate in what we do, and just kind of bring like more fun flavors and Indian flavors, to the audience.
So hold that thought, because I'm going to come to that a bit later, which is Indu, your ice cream brand, where you're doing a lot of Indian flavors, Indian packaging, very exciting stuff happening. But I'm going to come to that a bit later. Before what brought you back to India?
So, I mean, primarily the reason I picked Canada was, just to have the option to sort of stay there. And yeah, I think, I did, definitely want to experience living there for sure, firstly, because I'd never sort of moved out of Mumbai. And also like working there, which was great. I mean, I tried to do like every single thing, whether it was hotels, hot kitchens, working in seafood, like vegan cafes,
Wow.
and the farm, of course, and then bakeries as well. So I just wanted to kind of experience everything because I wasn't sure what space I liked the most. But yeah, honestly, I just felt like growth-wise, there was not much that I could do. And starting something of my own was definitely on something that I really, really wanted to try and do. And doing it there would be pretty much impossible just in terms of living expenses and the amount of like capital investment overall, and it would just be a little more easier in India. And I just felt like if I didn't come back now, like it just would never happen. So yeah, I just decided that.
And probably the Sindhi genes,
Yeah.
also a bit of business.
Yeah.
So,
Also, it just felt like growth kind of plateaued there.
mm,
I mean,
mm,
there was a lot more that I definitely could learn and would learn, but
mm,
yeah, I
mm.
just didn't see it going any further. Yeah.
So which year was it that you came back to India?
I came back in 2022, end of 2022. Yeah. So
So
I was,
that's just 2 years back.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So when you came back to India, it was a completely different context. Social media had heated up. Video content became this thing.
Mhm.
There were like now serious recipe content producers, influencers, you who were not like TV chefs or celebrity chefs, but who are getting their own sort of following. So when he came back in a situation like that, and
Mhm.
there was so much happening in the market,
Yeah.
um, so how did you then decide what to do next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like it took me 6 months to decide that I want to come back. And honestly, like I was there for about 2.5 years. I was pretty much off social media. Like I just couldn't take it because I was also
Mm.
like school, and then there were like I was doing two jobs at every point, so it was a little too much for me to take. I did definitely miss out on the reels trend initially,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just felt for my mental, sanity that I didn't want to like kind of
Was there
get
a
it.
was there a bit of FOMO? Like sometimes, like yeah, I mean it FOMO in a like serious way, not this thing, but like there's so much happening, and my friends are doing so much, and what am I doing? Was that feeling ever crossed your mind?
Honestly, like I just felt like I wasn't on social media so much, so it didn't really affect me until like
Yeah,
I came back
yeah,
eventually.
yeah.
But yeah, like before like the 6 months period, like before I came back, I kind of decided we started building the studio. So like virtually, I started. My family helped out, and we kind of
Mm,
made space. So I was like, there's no option now. Like we got to dive deep into this. And I feel like that's the thing with social media. Like if you don't adapt, like it's really tough to
mm,
keep up. So you have to
mm,
kind of adapt to, because in 2013, 14, whenever I started like even like photo is voice the only
Hmm,
thing.
hmm, 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 hmm,
At least on social, and then just like switch to videos.
hmm,
So didn't know too much about making videos, editing videos, but yeah, I just
hmm.
took that time to kind of learn everything. Yeah, it took a while. I think it took pretty much a year to kind of bring back our social media account. But yeah, I know that I didn't have any option, and
But you're clear about the fact that you wanted to be a serious recipe content creator. So, um, yeah. How many followers did you have on Instagram when you left for Vancouver?
about 200,000.
Sorry, how many?
200,000.
So, and now you have about 9.1, which is close to a million.
Yeah.
So all in like about 2 years, which is
Yeah.
like and the post-pandemic years. So Saloni, you are probably the first full-fledged influencer whom I'm interviewing on Foodocracy for, and I've wanted to do something like that for a long time because when the term influencer first started being used,
Mhm.
people sort of looked down upon it and
Yeah.
said, "Oh, these are people who just go to events or whatever, and they're just posting and stuff." And but I think whether that mindset has changed or not,
Mhm.
I don't think influencers give a damn because the fact of the matter is that today being an influencer is like being an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and brands realize that, and I know like brands sort of work a lot with influencers, and it's a very serious thing, and the market for influencers also like um, so for them also this is very serious. Like they don't give a damn about people who don't give a damn about this thing, and especially areas like food, health, wellness, beauty, fashion. These are like really strong things. So
Mhm.
tell me a bit about what does it take to be a successful influencer? And in your case, you did it in 2 years.
Yeah.
But what does it really? Because you hang
Yeah.
around with sort of so many influencers. First of all, do the influencers compete with each other, or do you guys like talk and all that? Are you
I
like, no, no,
don't.
today you're like 9.11, I'm 9.2, or
Yeah.
you're 8.6. I won't talk with you. Is there like I've seen with chefs, there's a bit of a bro network there. So do you guys like,
I don't think there's like a competition per se. I feel
yeah,
like a lot of people have like different sort of approaches to the kind of
hmm,
content that they do. And I feel like at the end of the day, like everyone's getting work, and I feel like the brand comes basis not on
yeah,
like on numbers, maybe like I would say 40% ish, but also majorly on the kind of content that you create and the kind of audience you're catering to.
yeah,
So yeah, I feel like I mean some people do the number game.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think
yeah,
more so it is about the person now more than
yeah.
anything and the kind of audience that they're catering to.
Hmm.
I personally don't love the word influencer either.
You
Yeah,
don't? You
so like,
don't?
I
Okay.
prefer like a content creator because I
That's
feel
the,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Creator
like
world. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Like I feel like influence is a very like something that would be more apt to like politics and things like that, where you actually like influence
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
minds, and here it's more of
Yeah.
expressing your
Yeah.
opinions and the things that you like and don't like. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't feel like anybody should be in a capacity to influence someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should be able to like make their own choices. We're kind of here
Yeah.
to share our experiences
I
overall.
remember someone like saying that they like the term person of influence than
Yeah,
influencer.
for sure.
So I know this entire term influencer has a lot of positive, negative sort of thing. This fact, there's earlier a lot of debate that, if one has just an Instagram account, Facebook account, is it fair to call oneself a blogger? So, I mean, I just see it a bit. I mean, I think that uh, being an influencer is, at the end of it, a profession today. Whether one likes it or not, this thing. So
Yeah,
I think it's sort of fine, but having said that, it's also a thing of how one sees oneself. Like you said, I mean,
yeah,
for you, it's more the creativity or the creation sort of part of it. Like for example, some people tell me that calling yourself a blogger in my case is not just thing. So I say, but I do blog, so it's yeah. But okay. having said that, what does it take to be a successful influencer or a content creator who also makes money?
Yeah.
So okay, let's not call it influencer, but maybe a professional content creator, like how in Olympics they have professional versus
Yeah.
amateur athletes. Like
Mhm.
I am a content creator who doesn't make money. Okay,
Yeah.
occasionally like one or two gigs, but it's more consulting gigs. But I mean, you're in this for the yeah. So
For
what
sure.
does it take? Because so many people look up to you guys or want to do this piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you like rightly said that it's definitely, like a very entrepreneurial journey. I don't think it was too much. I mean, I don't know. For me, when I started off, it wasn't too much. Entrepreneurship like wasn't like a business for me. It was like
You're talking of when you started this journey or your food of Mumbai?
Pura Mumbai journey.
Huh,
Yeah,
that
and
makes
that
sense.
time,
Yeah,
yeah, it was very like, oh, you're getting to
yeah,
do these things, and it's kind of cool. But now it's because also there are so many people in the space, so it's kind of like a constant
yeah.
place almost. But yeah, I would definitely say I mean, as soon as I came back, I had a plan in mind in terms of, that we have to have a content strategy
Hmm.
in place in terms of like, so for the past 2 years, I've posted every single day, like a reel every single day, sometimes two, and sometimes, mixing it up
So,
with other
so
kinds.
do you, sorry to this thing, but do you record every day or do you record them in a month?
I
Because
used to, yeah,
because you might be out on a different one day,
yeah.
maybe under the
Mm,
weather, or you got some this thing. So, how do you do that?
yeah.
No, so
So
so do you
before
record every day? Yeah.
I used to like before, starting the brand, we used to do 5 days a week. So, like have my kitchen team come in. And that time I used to shoot on my own only. So just got a light, shoot and edit was, we used to kind of do it in-house only. So yeah, 5 times a week is when I used to shoot. Again, pretty much maybe like try to cover 3 to 4 videos. If it's easier, then do like 4 videos. Um, in a day. And batch creating, I mean, like you kind of do 4 videos and then you kind of spread it out, but you
Hmm.
just need that much content to be able to kind of push it. And then when we started YouTube, then it was like one day was only for YouTube, so we did like a good 5 to 6 minute video. But yeah, again, because we used to shoot on our own, it used to take a lot more time, changing angles, and yeah, editing took like way longer. And yeah, we used to do that, but now I just whenever I get the time is when I shoot, which is pretty much on my one day off. Yeah.
So when you said that shoot by myself,
Yeah.
what does that mean, and what are you doing now?
Okay. So I basically, I mean, I had my iPhone, and then tripod, iPhone, and light, like use these three
Hmm.
things, and basically just we used to prep for the 3, 4 recipes in the day, and then just plan out what we want to do. And it's been about now 2 months since I got someone to
So
shoot.
so so that you would just put it in front and cook, or would there be someone to hold it or something?
So
Like,
on the tripod, like change
huh,
up the angles. So like
huh,
maybe every 2 steps of the
huh.
recipe, we used to change the angle.
And when you say we,
So,
there was someone to help you. Sorry, I'm just asking a lot of
no,
questions
no.
like a lawyer because I just wanted to everything to be.
Yes.
I'm not like grilling you or getting your secrets out.
Yeah, so I had someone in my kitchen team. I have one person at least in the studio, if not two,
Hmm.
and they kind of do the prep in the kitchen. Like I kind of give them the recipe, or we decide the recipe together. And so as for my team, like right now, there's one person in the kitchen, and then we have one person for social media, so who works on a more freelance basis. So, just helping with the written content, with stories that we want to do, some engaging stories that
Hmm.
we want to put up, and things like that. Just helping us ideate on the strategy. So week on week, we essentially decide what the plan is, and whether if you want to start a new series, what are the fruits and vegetables
Like
in the
right now, one of your latest series is "What Does India Do with Dahi?" Right?
correct, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so
So
yeah,
now you have someone shooting, like
yes,
a external person.
yes.
Okay.
So
No, one of the reasons. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, we usually shoot with the phone only. I mean,
Uh,
for branded content, we use the professional camera. But
hmm.
yeah, I just find like phone content easier and yeah, a little more effective and more sort of
Yeah,
personal as well. Yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, it's great quality stuff. So I mean, the fact of the matter is that you can do great quality with the phone. I remember when I used to do recipe videos for IFN like years back, there'd be people with cameras and I'd be in the kitchen and, there would be someone on top of, but I think so it is possible for someone to start off with a phone and a tripod and a light, maybe even by himself or herself, and then gradually grow up. Is that sort of?
Yes, 100%. I think, like it is a little more difficult now,
Hmm.
2014, 2015, but I think there is still, there are a lot of people, newer people bringing in a fresh
Hmm.
perspective. So I think
Hmm.
definitely having, like a nice hook towards
Hmm.
your content or, nice story definitely helps, whether it's, what you're doing voiceover wise or what you're,
Hmm.
speaking with your audience about. Or it's the format of your videos that people are getting super creative.
Hmm.
Like there are things where they kind of play a song and so they chop to the beat of the song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
insane, like doing the ASMR and matching it
yeah,
to like that edit takes hours, but
yeah,
there are
yeah,
people doing it so, and they are doing really well as well. Yeah.
yeah. So, what I feel, and I want to ask you about that, is that um, for people like you who are looking at it as being professional content creators, so we can use
Yeah.
that word. Um, if sometimes you get, someone to shoot or some equipment and all that, one should look at it as a bit like investment, right? Because in any business, you put in money, then eventually it's not that in the beginning you're going to make that out. Like for example, we never consider, say, an iPhone. A lot of us because anyway it's our phone, but actually it's a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
if you're buying it, like, when I buy my iPhones or my MacBook and all that, I also keep in mind that it's also for work. So it's not like an indulgence. So I think that mindset is important, right? That
100%. I feel
having
like
to,
not only equipment, but also, the kind of ingredients you're purchasing and then the salaries that you're paying, even for the videographer, the fee that you're paying, like the amount of time that it takes me to go behind, shoot, change the
hmm.
angles and then sit on edit. Like half my time is kind of reduced because she's doing the job. So, yeah.
Also, yeah. Also, do you sort of look at what content creators in India and across the world are doing for, does time go into that in terms of researching what's
It,
happening? How do you figure out also the trends,
yeah.
trends, both in terms of ingredients as well as like how people are presenting stuff and all that?
Yeah, I think ingredients, like it really helps me when I go to the market to kind of figure and ask them key what's in season, like things like that. So that is definitely helpful. And then whatever ideas are already in my mind, just kind of linking that. But yeah, definitely we spend a lot of time on social media. Like off
Mm-hmm.
late, I haven't been, but even my team, like they're pretty much on social, and then
Yeah.
every week, every Monday is when we have our call, so we kind of discuss what's going on and what should we use and what should we try. And also it's not like, I mean, if things are trending, we kind of try to use the overall idea
Yeah.
more than like do exactly the same thing. Also just try to cater it more to the Indian market, so it is more helpful and more people can sort of recreate that at home. Yeah.
Some things don't change. Like, for example, engagement with your viewers, readers, like in blogs when earlier people used to leave comment. I think that, if one responds, whether it's a team or you, I think that definitely, oops, bless you. I think that definitely helps. I'm going to ask you one more question before we get into Indu, and we should figure out who Indu is. I'm sure most people know. You mentioned about a voice.
Mhm.
Now, if I don't take it just literally, like an unique, and you also spoke about hook, similar
Mhm.
things. So, how important are these? Like, for example, what do you see as your voice or hook? Because you do different categories. Because even if you're doing recipes, sometimes it's Indian, sometimes Western, sometimes alcohol. Sometimes it's also your trips.
Yeah.
Something like this. So, what does Saloni stand for, and how important is it to work this out?
For sure. I mean, so I didn't get you in terms of like what
Yeah,
is.
no. So what I want to ask is that um, how important is it to have a hook as an
Yeah.
influencer, and how does one decide what hook to have? And in your case, like, do you have a particular thing in mind, which should be common across what you do?
For sure.
Like what Saloni stands for?
Yeah, I don't think for us it's a very hard and fast rule. Like we tried a lot of times to have like, at least for the series, we try to have a common sort of theme to it. But
Mm.
for me, I would say again, like a lot of people look at like my rings. So, that is something that stands out for me. And also just the kind of reaction that we do at the end of every video. But I just feel like having your own style or hook, especially if you're a new or budding content creator, is way more important. I just feel for people who've been in the space for a while at least, it's a little easier because the audience is still going to be
Mm.
there with you. But if
Mm.
you're just starting out, like it is, very important to have that. Whether it's, a lot of people try to do a more storytelling
Right.
format. So if they're
Right.
making like a regional dish that is,
Mm.
like
Mm.
close to their heart, so just talking about why that, when was the first time they ate it, because I just feel like going beyond the recipe, people are more interested in stories,
Yeah.
and like stories do really well, especially when it comes to food. It just helps people connect with the audience. um
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
You're talking
So
about
I
story.
feel like, especially if you're like newer in the space, like that, having that voice is something that can help you stand out for sure.
I like the fact that you get in the same enthusiasm to whether you're making like a Sunday with avocado,
Yeah.
or whether you're talking of the Sindhi aloo too, or
Yeah.
okay. So now we're going to shift focus. Like you're a multiple entrepreneur, like they say, serial startup person or this thing. So you your own brand, which is Saloni Kukreja, which is your content brand. But you also have a ice cream brand called Indu, which you launched last year. And then I believe there's also a 2.0 already, and into 2.0. So what got you into this idea of taking up a, because that's a completely different thing. Like ice cream is like you're investing, you're producing, you're selling, there's retail. So it comes with so many of its own complications.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, like I said, when I was in Vancouver, and like the reason I went to Canada to study is because I just felt, as much as I enjoy doing content and I loved what I was doing, I just wanted that sort of that skill. I wanted to work in the kitchen and like actually experience the whole professional aspect of things. And like I'm really glad I did, because it just helped me so much. Like just also made me like super disciplined in the kitchen. But yeah, like I think one thing across the board before I went to study as well was that I wanted to do something of my own. So the idea was, like one of the patisseries that I was working at. So they basically started as a flour mill. So what they did was they never used any commercial wheat, and basically no commercial wheat. So there was no like maida and atta also. So they got like indigenous varieties of grains essentially, and that's what they milled and used in the bakery as well. So that whole concept of just having that whole approach to the bakery was something that I absolutely loved, and I just loved everything we did there as well. And like initially, my idea was to do something with alternate grains in India,
Hmm.
um, and ice cream was always going to be on the menu, like no questions. And
But why ice creams? You love ice creams, or everyone
I
loves
think
ice? Hmm.
like my all my memories, like food memories as a child, attached are to ice cream. I very prominently remember
Yeah.
them. So every Sunday, basically, we used to go on drives, and I don't know if you know Gokul in Santa Cruz.
Of course, yeah. Gokul
So we
ice
used to
creams,
go
yeah.
there. You basically park your car outside, and then you get like a four ice cream box, and then you just sit
Hmm.
outside and eat it. So. Like I just remember the first time, I did that, and also, we used to do it pretty much
Yeah.
every. So yeah, just my memories to ice cream were pretty strong, and that's something that I wanted to explore creating. And I also felt, I mean, when I studied about it and when I worked with ice cream as well, I just found it to be like pretty much a blank slate, so you can kind of play around with so many fun flavors. Um, I mean, as much as fun pastry is, I just feel it is a bit restrictive in terms of flavor-wise what you can
Yeah.
do. But here you can go
Hmm.
savory,
Yes.
sweet.
Yes. Yes.
It's just pretty amazing. So yeah, and when I started working on the plan, like my idea was to do pastry and ice cream, but then I saw how capital intensive and also just labor
Yeah.
intensive ice cream itself is. So yeah, I decided that we start with this first and then we see how it goes. Yeah.
And why the name Indu?
So we kind of wanted to go back. So my sister basically done all the branding of the boxes here actually.
Yes, it's
So
lovely stuff. Yeah.
yeah, she's a really good designer. So she actually doesn't do too much product design, mostly
Your
like
sister.
website. Yes, my
This is your
sister, yeah.
sister. Okay. Yeah.
So she does mostly UX UI, but yeah, for my product, I was like, you've got to do this. But she kind of helped me decide everything about the brand. But like I had an idea that we want to do like old Indian flavors and bring those out in ice cream. And yeah,
Where did that idea come from? Because I know that, there's some people who are doing Indian flavors in a Western context, like Bombay Sweet House. Some of the, Indian progressive restaurants like Indian Accent and Stress End and Mask and all, they've got Indian flavors coming in. What inspired you? Because otherwise, in the larger scheme of things, there's only like say a Naturals or Snow White, which has Alfonso, but that's also not really an Indian flavor. It's just the ingredient. So what got you into an Indian flavor?
primarily most of my experience in Vancouver, like I saw them use, pretty much everything was local, especially at the bakery, like we had like rhubarb, which, only came for like 2 months and then we only used it at that particular time. So yeah, just the freshness of, ingredients. And like, I know they don't have a lot of indigenous things, but and I found out that they had a lot of at least grains wise, like there was so much that was Canadian and I didn't even kind of know about. And yeah, I just wanted to, explore again, we have so much more in terms of this diversity. So I kind of wanted to explore those flavors, still have sort of a fusion going on. But yeah, just again, highlight more Indian flavors and produce, in the product. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going through your range. I mean, you don't have the standard, unless I'm wrong, like dark chocolate, strawberry, cookies and cream, vanilla, right? You don't have any of these, right?
We like did do a dark chocolate.
Huh.
We did do like a dark chocolate and vanilla, but we've added like our own twist to it. So last year when we launched, like I refused to do the vanilla because I was like, this is too basic.
Plain vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year we introduced a vanilla with, we added some kaju chikki, which we make. So it's like a jaggery and kaju chikki, a little bit of futin for that crunch. So, there are different layers essentially to the ice.
And it's a very desi crunch versus, honey almond or, so now you launched it last year. Then there's a bit of a 2.0 which has happened, right? So is that like a major transition, or is it some learnings from year one going into this?
Yeah. So my idea was honestly like we weren't really prepared at all last year. What I was trying to do was actually because the machinery is so expensive and also you need like a space to set it up. So it's a lot more. So what I wanted to do was almost just like a pilot run to see, how we can manage things operationally and also, how people are enjoying the concept and the product as well. So what we did was we actually outsourced the manufacturing bit of it. So we used to basically provide they had a very small facility as well, but we essentially provided them with all the material and all our nut butters, all the sauces, all the bases essentially for the ice cream, and they kind of churned it at their facility. So that's what used to happen, and we did that for about 4 months. It was again not very feasible in terms of just the money that kind of went into it, but I didn't want to do a pilot to just kind of see how we can handle it basically. And yeah, people I think responded really well to it, and that's when we started bettering the recipes and then finding a space and doing all of the setup and things like that. Yeah.
And but the sort of packaging branding sort of was consistent, right, from the beginning.
Yes, we have revised, like the name and everything is the same. So yeah, I don't think I completed why we named it Indu. But
of course.
Yeah, we basically just wanted to go back to the heritage of India and like kind of correlating to Indus Valley. So do out of that, and it also means like cooling in Sanskrit, so it kind of matched. Yes.
Indu means cooling, huh? Oh, wow. You see, one never knows these things. Yeah. So, So how does one order? Is it through the Thrive app that I was seeing? And is it across Mumbai? And how do you manage the fact that ice cream melts, right? I mean, how do you send it across? Is it with those things which they do nowadays, like those dry ice sort of thing?
Yeah, so we have a delivery kitchen right now. I mean, I didn't want to get into the storefront. I feel for us, it's just really important that we have a solid product, and then we kind of figure out, because having that whole experience is a whole other level and layer.
Yeah.
So we do only delivery right now on Thrive, Swiggy, and Zomato. And basically, the thing is, we can't control a lot of the delivery radiuses other
Yeah.
than. But so our ice cream does remain at about minus 20 degrees. So it's pretty solid. But so if this is the box, we kind of have like a holder here. So almost like,
Mm-hmm.
and we basically add the dry ice at the bottom,
Mm.
and the holder goes on. And then so we have a matka, we're doing a matka this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we have the tubs for the bigger box for the tubs. And then the ice cream goes on, and then it just gets packed. So it's still like remains cool.
And this is a very non-ice cream packaging. I mean, this is more like a cake,
Yeah.
pastry sort of thing. So this is also your sister's idea? That
This
you,
was, I don't know whose idea this was.
yeah.
Uh,
Because accordingly, is it, if you say it's hers, you'll have to give her royalty, is it?
Yeah. But the thing was, like, one thing that I was sure of, that I don't want to do like a scooped ice cream product,
Mm.
because I just feel that becomes, again, very labor intensive as well. And
Mm.
there's just too many permutation combination
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like a format of the product is such that there are so many layers to it.
Mm.
For example, like the medium size that we have, we always add like an additional element to it. So if it's a pistachio baklava ice cream, we have like 8 layers of phyllo. So we cut like a disc,
Mm.
and that sort of goes along on the side. And then for our coffee and chocolate, we do like a chocolate disc on top. So, it's like different textures and different layers in that
Yeah.
bite.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of thought hardly goes into ice creams. And actually, even in store, you can't really this thing. So how's the response been like? Because it's a different sort of format, different flavors. So how have people taken to it? And is there any sort of preference? Is there any trend which you're seeing?
Yeah,
Um,
I think, because we brought back a lot of flavors from last time. So, people who loved it last time are definitely, coming back. And also it is a very, like, we've changed up the ice cream a lot more. So it's a lot better than last time. And the best part is that we have control of the machines this time. So it becomes, much easier for us to
hmm.
control texture, temperature, and, various things like that. So there are, again, like on the menu, people have like their favorites. So, they do really well. But yeah, they are still, so we did like a masala chas sorbet, which is quite different.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
of
we
course.
were still not very used to that. But there are like, I feel like people who like the sorbets are not very ice cream people, and people who
Hmm.
like the ice cream don't like.
And masala chas would be savory, right?
It's a savory sorbet,
Yeah,
yeah. So it
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
confused people a lot, and they're just like, "Why is this salty?" So
yeah.
like having to explain to them. But yeah, so we're trying to, again, be a little experimental with that, but also have
Hmm.
little familiar flavors, and
Yeah.
that's primarily why we did the vanilla, because we were like, people, at the end of the day, like comfort flavors, so they like a vanilla, chocolate, pistachio, and things like that. Yeah.
So it's been very early days for Indu, but um, any learnings which you've had at this point about, launching a business or something which you'd like to share with people? Like, people might have these dreams of, you know,
Yeah.
opening an ice cream
Yeah,
stall or that kind of
it's,
thing.
it's a lot. Like for me, like as much as I do enjoy content, but having done this, like this is that is way easier. Like
This,
I felt
and
that
which is more fun? Which is more fun?
this is definitely more fun. Like I honestly like love spending time in the kitchen. But yeah, I think it's just like you gotta be like mentally prepared. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like you gotta be Yeah, you got to be like mentally prepared. Just managing people, managing the space. Making sure everything remains. All your licenses are in place, and like everything's clean. All the water is in place, and everything like that. Also, customer experience. If something goes wrong, then how to fix that. So it's again like I'm honestly like it's just been 20 days since we've been open. So I'm learning a lot, but definitely my previous experience does help. But this is just a much larger scale. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
figuring.
mean, it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, on Instagram, you'll see Indu or this thing, lovely flavors. It's almost like being a parent because you're on it 24 hours, like the 24/7, because or 24/6, because this podcast also we had to find a day when you are free, simply because on other days you'll have to look at the Zomato, Swiggy orders and the OTPs coming in and the right thing going to the right person. And I don't want to step in the way of anyone's ice cream experience. I mean, that's really brutal. Okay, I've got one question to ask you at the end because a lot of people are interested in this is that for people who get into the influencer game, and we spoke some things about consistency, hook, and all of that. Once you get all of that in place, how does one get to work with brands? How does one approach brands or get brands to notice one? At which stage can one expect it?
Yeah. For sure. I think like for me, when I started, it took about a year and a half for me to kind of get my first deal. But also like that time there was not too much branded work per se. Now I would say again, like I said, just having that differentiating factor, definitely helps a lot. Because for newer people, it is a little difficult if they don't really know who the creator is. But if they
Hmm.
kind of like the kind of style that you're shooting in, or you're like have a very unique sort of way you shoot content or the way you speak. I think that's definitely what brands are looking out for in terms of just a fresh new perspective for their brand and for their sort of social media pages. I feel like for a little more established person, definitely. So there's something called like inbound queries and outbound queries.
Yeah, yeah.
Inbound comes naturally a lot. Again, consistency helps a lot.
Hmm.
Because once kind of people see you, brands see you, and that's sort of when they approach you. Networking, actually going for events and meeting
Hmm.
the right people. It's very exhausting, but
Yeah.
that's just what kind of gets you work, right?
Hmm.
And I think as much as like online presence helps, once you meet a person in person, it just creates a whole other impact, and you're sort of on their mind, and which can potentially convert into work. And as per outbound, I mean, certain agencies, if they are with an agency, for example, like they kind of have a sales team, so they
Hmm.
pitch your
Hmm.
name to people.
Hmm.
I think you can yourself as well pitch. Like I
Hmm.
know people send out their media kits and things like that, and just shoot out an email or a message just to see if there are any potential sort of synergies with the brand. But yeah, there has been a phase where I've done that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like but it's like you're shooting out like 100 emails and you might get a reply from like
Hmm.
10.
True, true. And also now you have your Hindu to look up. So, Sonny, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've been planning this for a while, and I was very keen to do it because have been noticing your work for quite some time, and I think that it's something which is quite inspirational. I'm sure a lot of people will sort of get some directions on what they want to do. And thanks so much for deconstructing everything because there's something which you see up there on screen and stuff. But the thing and folks, there's some really exciting flavors and textures and even matkas in Hindu ice cream. So if you're in Mumbai, go to Thrive, Zomato, Swiggy. If you're not in Mumbai, you can always gift it to your friends and family, or say if you're not in good terms with someone, maybe you can send the ice cream and break the ice again. So yeah, all the best, Sonali. Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thank you.